All right. Welcome to Psychology of Women and Gender. This is the lower division level, and we're in chapter one. Now, the only reason I'm decided to make this video and put it on YouTube is because there is just a lot of individuals who don't know what's going on in the women area and mostly within the symbol of females. So I'm come to here to just make a little bit of chapters then and there so that way you can understand more about how the women of psychology works and their gender basically. Don't quote on me on this, don't go against me. This is what I got from at college level. So if you're looking to ask questions or you're looking to say something in the comments, I'll just be, just telling you from my own opinion that this, whatever you see on this, is basically what the lower division area was teaching. So I'm gonna be reviewing this because a lot of individuals don't know what's going on, so we can have a better understanding of the females in society. So if you want to learn about this, I will be making a couple of chapters on this, and so on and so on. All right, so let's go on to the first slide. Why a woman why a class of women and gender basically is it talks about, and I'm going to summarize through the entire chapter so that way I don't bore anybody with too much talking. We're summarizing here basically the experiences of the women's and how they function with the gender. So that's why you can even pause my video throughout this entire session so you could see each one that comes through this. So if you're interested to read it, I have it right here in the slide. Here's the next one, why a class of women and gender. Well, if you're interested, right here, a social world organized by gender. We talk about all the stuff right here, or this most likely talks about all the stuff you have to know. So again, you feel free to pause throughout this entire video of areas you want to read. And then we got this one, of course, which is the objective of think of crucially about gender. We look more of understanding through each scenarios and bullet points to know what exactly in our community what's been important. Then we got women that are trending. You could see there's examples right here, person of the year times, and then we got of course the other one with the Hollywood that joined forces to take on harassment, and then we got the other hashtag of times up. Maybe I could correct me if I'm wrong. And then we have some guidelines what's gonna be talked about here. Now this is basically from my class, so if you are interested why some of it like reads like that, I'm just showing exactly what is being labeled right here. And then of course we have the sex, which is basically the what's referred to, what is exactly coming out, because anyone who's born, depending on which side it's going to be, and so on and so on. And then we got to 2017, where you talks about more. If you want to pause it, you could to see read exactly what this slide was actually talking about, because I'm trying to go as fast as possible just so I won't take too much of this video's time. And then we got social construction. If I were to label it as fast as possible, it's basically everything you need to know about the experience, the social, and then you have maybe examples in the bottom, including exactly what are you looking for, what's going on through each. And I'm curious. Does this have a? Okay, I'm just checking. Zoe's links in this. And then we have social constructs. We have labels of a warning. You have to be careful with that. Sometimes, if it's happening. And then we have gender here. This is gender, basically what you identify, what exactly is signed you as birth. And mostly we go through each and every these slides, rather if it's talking about women to gender, so you're able to understand more about this and what exactly you're born and identified with, than just expressing yourself in this world as something that doesn't exist, and no one should ever say any of that. All right. And of course, we have another gender example right here. You can pause this if you want to look into this and read it as much as possible. You even have a link to learn more about it on the side. And I'm pretty sure I haven't seen any, notes in here. This is the next one. So it clarifies gender and sex terms. Each are labeled terms between each one that are labeled in. These are different types of, definition to whatever sex you're referred by. Now, sometimes those ones that affirm differently, I know it's a little hard to understand why that's like that, but I guess when society has you in different times, it's a little bit different than what we see in normality. So I'm just gonna label it that. Then we have this one. It looks like this one also came with notes. And good, you can able to pause this, and I'll see if I can make it easier for anyone to read it out loud. Let me see if I could move this. Okay, I don't want to move it too much. Actually, you know what? I don't think that was fine. Okay, just leave it like that. So gender differences right here. Let me see if I can go down a bit. Okay, and then we have this one right here. I'm gonna leave it at a pause so that way you could see the notes from the bottom, and it can be easier to understand them from each point, the slide point of view. Oops. Okay, there you go. What the? I'm just making sure. And then here in sexism, there's also links that I'm gonna leave in this slide. I had to like click on them, edit it, and fix it up with and post it in here, so that way anyone who's curious of what this means, you can check it out and understand more about what this slide is actually talking about. But we're looking through the past and seeing how women were being judged, they're up against them, these called these madmen, and how they were developing society to get grown through their strengths. So because again, the treating, it was really different back then than the what we have now in modern times. Then we have this slide where it continues talking about that, at where you see a lot of the stuff that where it's feminist and it's not, and then you see in other examples on the bottom. You can also pause this. You want to continue reading this, because I'm going to be rushing through this as much as possible, just so we can able to get this much done as possible. Another example about a husband ever finds out and then get mad at you for something like that. This was back then. It's kind of, disturbs me, but I still, that's what was going on in the early days in the century areas. So don't get taken on me. This is exactly what was, being displayed. And you have this one too. You mean women can open a cap? They were confused. Most of the men's out there in Bass were most likely advertising things like this. And then we have this one too, where you could see, sometimes where if you need to be seen as equal, there's even this an example too. And each of this you can even pause to know what actually stays. But there most of these like examples you see were obviously what they're describing themselves at, including everything that is sexism, from ranging from abuse to discrimination. It all talks about right here, and shows through these slides of exactly what they were trying to say and predict. So whatever it is that from these slides, you can read them out loud to yourself. You could put them in there and to understand more and more within these. And then I left another example here. Also, there's a link. That way you can go into them, type it in, and able to put them inside your web browser, whatever device you're using, to know more what exactly is this displaying, and what are we learning about from this slide. More examples, and they basically describing more within like I said, these are basically showing, you know, how their interactions, whether they're hostility or friendly, you know, it depends on what you're looking at from this cartoon. Again, you can leave comments down below if you like are interested in different opinions about that, or your reaction to these slides, because I love reactions when it comes to looking into the slides. But again, I'm new like you. I'm going to together, and I'm just like scrolling through each one of these slides to show exactly what are we distributing into this. Each of these, I also, if you see something like this, I'll leave a YouTube video on the playlist on Angular Super 11, so you can able to see what type of videos they're displaying here and they're talking about. And then we got the privileges. Well, the privileges of what you notice depending on certain groups, male or female, and you can look at these slides to each talk about and understand more the importance about this, because again, you know, females, you know, they have different set of beliefs, so these are like learning what's, you know, in their areas. And then you could check out more of the privileges from each different ones. Now again, each of these are for your own time to look into them. If there's something that puts you in interest, you can always highlight or check those out and put them in your Google search if you want to know what's in each and every one of these. And then you got the feminist theory, of course. There's those slides that I'm going to be scrolling through this. If you're willing to look into them, understand exactly which this is comprehends to this chapter. And then we have this one too. So it's personal as political, you know, depends on these ways of looking into these slides. And the feminist movement is another one that had a lot of things that happened in the past through the present time. So it's not going away. There's still going to be a lot of this going on. Yeah, another two examples. If you're interested to read them, I have it here on this slide. And then of course we have this one. How do we stand together in gender equality in the world? Which are all different countries that show you each one of the gender equality ranking. You can also see what exactly the populations of each one of them. And then you have this one. It looks like this one came with notes. I don't think the other one did it? Let me see. No. I would have seen that. Okay, so oh my goodness. Why are we stand together in the world, and why? These are each nations to United Nations. You know, there's different type of aspects. And I put the links from this one right here, so that way you could see exactly where you can search the data sheets for that. And then we have some notes here in the bottom. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. Okay. Education, you could tells you exactly right here. The political, a lot of politicals is among us. So if they can't go away from that. It's our running government and people who are looking into how our government's running. You have the economy and equal pays. There's talk about how, you know, the economics and how they're impacting. Then you got the health. Also can be political or something else entirely, depending on what it is. And the violence for people who want freedom. You can see whether it's going against or for. And there's just been, you know, cases of that too as well. So I wouldn't be surprised about this. Okay. Then you got the past themes of pathology of women. You can see there's the examples of those two. You can read this and pause it, so that way you understand more about this slide. There's no notes on this, so I'll just move on to the next one. Then you got the brief history of women, some women in history, the first wave of feminists. You can start to see how early it started from the 1848 all the way to 1949, and we can know for sure it can maybe continuing to the present time. So it was there for a very long time from the early days. It was hard to record beyond the past, so I would be curious of how long it's been there for quite some time. Then we got the second wave. It continues on from the 1960 to 1884. Each of that, and again, pause the video if you want to know exactly each one, because I'm continue moving forward as much as possible to get this video done. criticisms of the second wave. You can see each one, and they still continue to go on. Regardless of this, it continues to could go on and on and on. And then you have this one, which is the we call it psychological research and women, based on how they checked in critical thinking, and then you have this one too throughout the entire experiment. I don't want to read too much of this because again, I do want ourselves to read it till we understand a little better. And then of course the final slide where you can see the chart of ultimate cheat sheet of critical thinking. How do I trust how likely research? How do I tell if it might be based critical thinking? And you could see each of those: who, what, where, when, why, and how. So that's going to be for this chapter. You also can check out more just by pausing each video and seeing each one what you think about this chapter. I'll probably have to make multiple videos just to get each chapter going in there, but once I'm done, I'll probably put them in a playlist on Angular Super 11, and that's where you'll find them. Be more easier to watch them and see through each one, just like you can understand the basic knowledge of that. So all right, move on.